Friends, we will make a beginning with the discussion on previous questions tested in the topic of charitable trust taxation. To start with, let me start with May 2011 question. See, Safe Wildlife is an institution having the main objects of preservation of wildlife. It has entire income derived from an activity in the nature of trade for its main object during the previous year. The institution seeks your opinion to know whether such utilization of its income be treated as charitable purpose, and would your answer be different if the main object of the institution is advancement of object of general public utility. See, in the final, when a question like this comes, expectations you just try to understand. See, at the inter level or the PCC level, even if you just by heart what is charitable purpose, that would be enough. You can reproduce because the straight question of what is charitable purpose is coming. But at the final level, to make answering of this particular question, you just see the way it is being tested. See, last Finance Act of 2010, which is applicable for May 2011 and November 2011 exam, brought an amendment in the definition of charitable purpose, thereby included in it, apart from that relief to the poor, education, medical relief and advancement of any other object of general public utility, it included in it preservation of environment also will be treated as a charitable purpose. Now the point here is, this particular trust main objective happens to be preservation of wildlife. Naturally, it can be very well be construed as a charitable purpose. Okay, having got the understanding that it is a charitable purpose, now this particular trust is doing a business. This particular trust is doing a business, and it is earning income out of that particular business, and then it is utilizing that particular money for this particular charitable purpose. Now, is it acceptable? The point of interest here is, like, we have one section 11(4)(a) which says what? There is no prohibition as such for you to carry out business, except that that business must be incidental to the carrying out with the objectives of the trust, and then the second thing is separate set of books of accounts are to be maintained. See, doing some type of a trading, if a charitable trust carries, and even if it applies such income for this charitable purpose, that we don't consider it as an exempted income, is what we have studied. See, the analysis clearly says what? That is, the trust should not carry out a business, that is a commercial activity, is only applicable to the last limb of it. If the main objective happens to be advancement of any other object of a general public utility, there the proviso says what? That is, if the main objective happens to be advancement of any other object of general public utility, then if such a trust keeping the advancement of any other object of general public utility carries on a business or renders a services where receipts are exceeding 25 lakhs, then in respect of that income, it is not going to, get exemption, because that will not be construed as a charitable purpose. In these lines, we have to develop the answer. Write down the important points to be noted. First, charitable purpose. Charitable purpose. Section 2 clause 15. Section 2 clause 15. Includes, that is charitable purpose includes A, relief to poor, relief of poor. B, education. B, education. C, medical relief. C, medical relief. D, preservation of environment. Preservation of environment. Then E, preservation of monuments or places. Preservation of monuments or places or objects of artistic or historic interest Then friends, F, advancement of any other object of general public utility. See, the noteworthy point here is whatever that proviso says. What is that proviso says? Write down. Provided that the advancement of, at the final level you should be very, very careful with provisos. Provided that the advancement of any other object, of a general public utility, shall not be charitable, if it involves carrying on business for consideration, even if income is applied for charitable purpose. Even if income is applied for charitable purpose. So the main point we are getting into. Point is what? In this question, when the main objective of that particular trust is what? Main objective of that particular trust is wildlife, preservation of the wildlife. So definitely there is no prohibition. If your main object happens to be wildlife preservation, then you can carry out an activity on a commercial line and you can apply that particular income to the charitable purpose. And your 11.4a is clear that if you are carrying out any business incidental to the attainment of the objectives, and if you maintain separate set of books of accounts, happy well you can claim the exemption. It continues to be a charitable purpose. In the question of May 2011, what is stated is, will your answer be different in case if the main objects of this particular trust happens to be the advancement of general public utility, advancement of any other object of general public utility? Yes, my answer will be different, because section 2 clause 15 clearly says what? Any institution established for charitable purpose with its main objective being advancement of any other object of general public utility cannot carry out a commercial activity even if that particular income from that commercial activity is applied for charitable purpose. But that is not a prohibition for all the other 5 things. What are the 5 things? That is, one is relief to the poor, second is education, medical relief, preservation of the environment, preservation of the monuments. There you don't have this restrictive covenant. That the restriction proviso is only applicable in case the main object of that particular trust happens to be the advancement of any other object of general public utility. Write down, friends, continuation. That is, proviso to section 2 clause 15 is only applicable, if the main object of the SSE, main object of the SSE is advancement of any other object, of a general public utility, any other object of general public utility. Then, friends, thus if a trust is having the other limbs of the definition as its main objective, then it can carry out commercial activity. To achieve it can carry out the commercial activity and can apply the income to not to achieve, and can apply the income to achieve the objects, objects stated in the A to E above, stated in the A to E above. So now our point, after going through this particular question, our concept is getting developed. What is the concept? Simple point. Student should know what is the definition of charitable purpose, and he should understand that the proviso is only applicable if the main object of the trust happens to be carrying out any other object of general public utility. For all the other 5 things which are stated in the definition, such trusts or such entities can very well carry out the commercial activity, and such income from the commercial activity, as long as it is being applied to achieve the objectives for which it is being established, then happy well they can claim the exemption, is the point. Because to this tune, unless we are sure with, it would be difficult to get or score good marks in the CA exam. Of course, first time we never even imagine that this type of question will come. But then, as a surprise if it comes, at least as a valuer, my expectation is you should be able to write the definition, whether you are able to come to a correct conclusion or not, whether you are perfect with your definition or not. If you are writing your definition and touching the point, then also partially you will get the marks. See, we are going to do with about 20 to 21 questions. By the end of that, you will be knowing where the paper revolves. That's the main objective of this discussion. Now I go to the May 2010 question given in the new syllabus. Just listen the question carefully. Concentration is most important. That's the reason why we are not making you to write the questions. Asha Memorial Trust is running hospitals and is registered under section 12A. Following particulars relevant to the previous year ending on 31st March 2012. Income from running the hospitals, how much? 14.25 lakhs. Donations received is 5.75 lakhs, out of which corpus donation, anonymous donations are 3 lakhs. Then amount applied for charitable purpose is 13 lakhs, 1-3. Then the trust accumulated earlier under section 11(2) 15 lakhs for a specified purpose. And the trust has spent 13.5 lakhs and the period is elapsed. Now you need to compute the taxable income and at what rate it gets taxed. There are only 4 points here. First thing is receipts from running hospital, how much? 14 lakhs 25,000. Donations other than anonymous donations are how much? 5.75 minus 3 lakhs is equal to 2.75 lakhs. Put together it works out to be 17 lakhs. 15% you can accumulate. On 17 lakhs, 15% is 2,55,000. Then you also applied what? Whatever that you have accumulated of that 15 lakhs, out of that 13.5 lakhs you applied, that means remaining becomes taxable. 1.5 lakhs becomes taxable. How much you have spent? You have spent about 13 lakhs out of the current year income, you have spent 13 lakhs. So from the total, if you reduce that 13 lakhs also, you get 1,45,000 out of the current year income and 1,50,000 out of the accumulated income is becoming a taxable. Totally put together is how much? What is it? 2,95,000. And you have got anonymous donations to the tune of how much? 2 lakhs. To the tune of 3 lakhs you have anonymous donations. But with anonymous donations, what we have discussed, 5% of the total donations are rupees 1 lakh. Whichever is higher gets exempted. So out of 3 lakhs, that 1 lakh if you reduce, then you have 2 lakhs. Now the whole point is you have got 4,95,000 as a taxable income. Now in this context, friends, that is, how do you go for the taxation? What we said, normal income of a charitable trust gets taxed just like if that trust happens to be an individual. For an individual, up to what amount it is exempted? 1,80,000 it is exempted. From 2,95,000, 1,80,000 if you reduce, you get how much? 1,15,000. On that 10% is how much? 11,500. Whereas anonymous donations gets taxed at what rate? At the rate, maximum marginal rate. What is the maximum marginal rate? 30%. So on 2 lakhs, the 30% is 60,000. Put together, you have 71,500. On that you have educational cess and a secondary higher educational cess. I am not asking you to write the solution for that particular problem, but definitely I expect you to write few points which we have learned out of this. Point number 1. Point number 1. Accumulation is permitted to the tune of 15%. Then point number 2, if for any specified purpose, money is accumulated for a specified period, then the unspent money on expiry of the specified period, shall be taxable as the income of the year in which such period gets elapsed. Then friends, in case, third point, in case if a trust is having anonymous donations, then to the extent of 5% of the total donation, or rupees 1 lakh, whichever is higher, anonymous donation gets exempted, and the balance of anonymous donation the balance of anonymous donation gets taxed at a maximum marginal rate, Then friends, last point is other taxable income of the charitable trust oblique entity gets taxed as if such an entity is an individual. Then friends, I move to the November 2009 new syllabus question. That's what I am saying. If you observe, there is no question of CA final paper coming without this particular topic being tested at least for 3 marks or 4 marks. Ignoring charitable trust is ignoring 3 to 4 marks. I know many students who got 197 marks and failed. Be careful. Right. So November 2009 question is coming with what? A charitable trust derives its income from the business, providing mineral water to various companies situated in the software technological park. A sum of 26 lakhs has been derived as a net income from such business activity. Now, which it has applied for objects of general public utility. Examine the taxability of application of the income. If the income so derived relates to the previous year of 2011 and 12, would your answer be different if the trust runs a school in a backward district and applies the profits from the business for such school activity? Of course, this time you need not write, because already we have discussed at length what we understood. The definition of charitable purpose, let me revise again and again so that you will be able to understand that this is so simple. That is, charitable purpose includes relief to the poor, education, medical relief, preservation of environment, preservation of any monuments, and then any other object of general public utility. And the proviso saying that in case if the entity's main object is advancement of any other object of general public utility, it cannot carry out a commercial activity and make income out of that commercial activity, and can, even if it is being applied for charitable purpose, that income is going to become taxable. At the same time, second limb or the next proviso says what is stated in the first proviso does not have an application as long as the receipts from the commercial activity is less than, that is 25 lakhs, below 25 lakhs. So in this context, since here the receipts happens to be more than 26 lakhs, the more than 25 lakhs, that is 26 lakhs, definitely it gets catch with that particular proviso. So accordingly the income of the trust becomes taxable even if the entire income is being applied for the charitable purpose, or even if it starts a school in the backward area and is going to use this particular amount for that particular school located in the backward area is a point. So only extra point that you are learning is what? This threshold limit, and please do remember for the May exam and November exam, definitely you will see a question with this threshold limit being tested, because earlier this amount used to be 10 lakhs, today it is 25 lakhs. Write down that point also in your notes. That is second proviso to section 11 to section 2 clause 15 says first proviso is not applicable. If receipts from commercial activity does not exceed rupees 25 lakhs. Then I move to the November 2009. After November 2009, again November 2009, the question which we completed is new syllabus question, old syllabus. So simultaneously, if under two syllabus exams are conducted also, in this paper also one question on charitable trust, in that paper also one question on charitable trust. Again and again this I am saying for the simple reason you should understand the relevance of this particular topic in the final examination. What is this question reads? Trust unless created for charitable purpose does not qualify to claim the exemption under chapter 3 of the Act. In this context, explain the meaning of charitable purpose and examine whether the following objects constitutes the part of it. That is, rural reconstruction and upliftment of masses through cottage industry. By establishing a cottage industry, small scale industry, rural reconstruction and upliftment of the masses is our objective बोल के लिख दिए हम. Second is welfare of industrial workers with a stipulation that workers of a settler of the trust have got a preference over the others. These two we are asked to check. First, don't worry. There are three aspects involved in this particular question. First, he is asking you to tell whether you know charitable purpose, what is the definition of it. Second, he is asking you to test whether for these two objects is there any prohibition or will this come under the charitable purpose. First, what is the definition of charitable purpose? Again and again, that is charitable purpose includes relief to the poor, educational relief, medical relief, preservation of the wildlife, preservation of the monuments, and any other object of general public utility. And a proviso says that if your main object is advancement of any other object of general public utility, you cannot have a commercial activity. And even if you apply the entire income to charitable purpose, still such income is going to become taxable. Second proviso says what? As long as receipts does not exceed 25 lakhs, there is no problem even if it carries out in a commercial activity. So now in this context, having got the understanding of what is a charitable purpose, whether your rural reconstruction by establishing a cottage industry, will it come under the purpose charitable purpose? For that, one important thing that you need to understand is, that is, activity of rural reconstruction and upliftment of the masses will amount to what? Relief to the poor. Rural reconstruction and upliftment of the masses will come under which limb of this definition? Relief to the poor. See, you are establishing a cottage industry, small scale industry, which provides employment to so many people. Rural India is suffering with poverty. Create employment and do something for upliftment of the masses in the rural area. Definitely it is a relief to the poor, so there definitely it comes under the definition of a charitable purpose. Then as far as the second aspect, welfare of industrial workers, I am having a company and now I am also creating a trust, and what we say is, this trust is going to be doing something needful to the workers who are working in our industry. Is it okay? The answer for that is, if you know the specified persons under section 13, what is stated, if a trust is established for the benefit of relatives of the other, there it is not stated employees of the author or employees of the trust should not derive any benefit from the trust, बोल के कहीं भी नहीं है. So even if the trust is going to be of the utility to the employees of the workers, still it constitutes what is it? Charitable purpose. So these 2 points what we are trying to learn, please make note. Number 1, that is the activity of rural reconstruction, and upliftment of masses will be covered by relief to the poor. Thus, such an activity amounts to charitable purpose and would be entitled to claim the exemption, under section 11. Then friends, as far as this welfare of industrial workers, write down, that is application of a part of the income of the trust, for the benefit of employees of the author/settler, cannot disentitle the trust from claiming from claiming exemption, for claiming exemption under section 11(1). Because basically in 13(3) what we said, the list of the persons contained in section 13(3) as a specified persons does not include the employees of the author of the trust or the settler of the trust. So the 13(3) is very important for you to remember, because this question is basically based on that 13(3). Unless the student is having a perfect knowledge of 13(3), who are the specified persons for whose benefit the income should not be applied, and in case if it is applied, then such a charitable trust will get disentitled for the exemption. So in that particular list, if you go through carefully, employees of the settlers of the trust or the author of the trust is not there. That is the reason why in this particular problem, even though you say benefit is going to be derived by the workers of that particular company, of that particular author of the trust, still it constitutes a charitable purpose, since there is no prohibition under section 13(3) is the point which we need to drive. Then friends, I move to the next question, that is May 2009. That is, without a fail you are getting, what is it? Repeatedly the questions. Look at this question, reads like, work out from the following particulars the amount of the capital gain which shall be deemed to have been applied for charitable purpose arising out of sale of a capital asset. What is the cost of the transferred asset? 2,40,000. What is the sale consideration? 3,60,000. What is the cost of the new asset? Is a 3 lakhs. First you should understand what is a capital gain. Sale proceeds minus cost. Sale proceeds minus cost, 3,60,000 minus 2,40,000 is 1,20,000 is your capital gain. Now all the discussion is, out of that 1,20,000, how much is exempted, how much becomes a taxable. And you studied already 11(1)(a) of the income tax law. 11(1)(a) of the income tax law says what? In case if a charitable trust is going to make sale of a capital asset, and if entire net sale consideration is going to be invested in another capital asset, then the entire capital gain gets exempted. But if partially only the net sale consideration is being invested in the new capital asset, then the amount of the exemption is what? Amount of the exemption is net, that is amount that you invested out of that net sale consideration. How much is the amount that you invested minus original cost of the asset. So here net sale consideration is 3,60,000, whereas the assessee invested only 3 lakhs. So what he has invested? 3 lakhs. And what is the original cost of the asset? 2,40,000. So what is the difference? Is a 60,000. Only to the extent of 60,000 the capital gains gets exempted, and a balance out of that 1,20,000, once 60,000 gets exempted, remaining 60,000 becomes a taxable. So basically, whether the student know what is the amount of exemption if a partial investment of what is it, the net sale consideration happens. Write down friends, 11(1)(a). 11(1)(a), that is, in a situation wherein a capital asset is sold by the charitable entity and partial net sale consideration, is invested in the new asset, then amount of exemption is equal to amount invested minus original costs, or cost of the transferred asset, not the original cost of the transferred asset would be a better way of putting the things. Cost of the transferred asset. See, this is the specific modus of preparation. Unless the student go through the previous suggested answers meticulously like this and jottle down the point, where is the question of getting the confidence? See, smart study differs from hard study only in this manner. Why some people pass early, why some people pass slightly late? That is, the one who passes early understood very early what should be the approach. Other way around, there is nothing that God has created them with more intelligence and others with a less intelligence. Passing CA is an art by itself, which comes out of practice. All my effort in delivering the lectures on direct access to the students is not to impart them with a great knowledge which is not available in the institute material or the standard authors books, only to tell you how you have to approach. I believe this is the approach you have to do even for indirect access, corporate laws, auditing paper and ISCA paper also. That is, wherever theory is there, once you say one topic is over, that a topic if runs for 40 pages, the gist should come in 4 to 5 pages. Then only your preparation is moving towards logical conclusion. Other way around, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Okay. Now, the next question I am moving is towards May 2011. Of course, then what is your earlier May 2011, sir? We have one old syllabus, new syllabus concepts are there, but our other way around, I am not sure here whether it is that by May 2011, if it is dispensed of that old syllabus and new syllabus, that means in May 2011 paper, if you go, there are 2 bits on charitable trust. You just imagine what is the significance. Look at the question. XYZ is a public charitable trust created under a trust deed providing relief to the physically challenged persons and registered under section 12A. The following are the particulars of the trust. Income from the properties of the trust is 15 lakhs. Income from the business incidental to the main objects 14 lakhs. Voluntary contributions from the public including corpus donations of 7 lakhs is totally 18 lakhs. The trust applied 18 lakhs towards the activities and programs undertaken for the benefit of physically challenged persons during the year, and the trust also has repaid 8 lakhs of the loan taken 2 years back for the purpose of construction of a training for handicapped persons. Now the point here is determine the tax liability, if any, for the trust, and also state how the trust can mitigate such liability, reduce such a liability. Of course, I fastly read the question. More than the question, what is the points that we are trying to stress, give a stress. After sitting in the exam, the first doubt that we get is commercial activity करे so तो, is it acceptable? Here that not being acceptable is only when its main object is advancement of any other object of general public utility. Here the main object of the trust is to, what is it, providing a relief to the physically challenged people. So it is more like medical relief, relief to the poor. Into that limbs this falls. So once this particular object falls into the other limbs other than advancement of any other object of general public utility, for such kind of the trust to carry out a commercial activity, there is no prohibition, because proviso is only applicable to the last limb, that is advancement of any other object of general public utility. So as now once that clarity comes, what we need to do? Business is also one of the properties of the trust. So income from the property of the trust, as long as 85% of it is being applied for charitable purpose, happy well you can claim the exemption. So here you have income from the business incidental to the main objects, and then income from the properties held under the trust. Then voluntary contributions, as all you know, corpus donations are not to be treated as income. So other than corpus donations, how much it is? So income from the properties of the trust is 15 lakhs, income from the business incidental to the carrying out of the objectives is 14 lakhs, voluntary contributions excluding corpus donations is 11 lakhs, put together is 40 lakhs. In 40 lakhs, how much of the accumulation can happen? 15%. 40 lakhs में 15% कितना है दोस्तों? 6 lakhs. Balance कितना? 34 lakhs. So what you have applied? You have applied about 18 lakhs, as well as your repayment of the loan also comes under the application of the income. So earlier also we studied 18 plus 8 is 26 lakhs. Out of 34 lakhs, 26 lakhs you have applied. So remaining 8 lakhs becomes your net income. And as far as the taxability of it is just like individual, in case if he is having 8 lakhs of income, what is a taxation? As all you know, it is 96,820 is a point. Now the point of interest is how the trust can mitigate its tax liability. Give a declaration stating that we have a specified purpose, so that identify a specified purpose, give a intimation prior to your filing the income tax return before the due date, so that you can use that money for that particular specified purpose in future. That is the only advice we can give. So what is the new point that you are learning here? Make note of that point. The point is, rest is all what you have studied, that is repayment of the loan taken. Repayment of the loan taken for making capital expenditure, amounts to application of income,